Welcome to The Missing Frame. My name is John, and if you're feeling a little confused right now, like, did I subscribe to this channel? How did I end up here? It used to be a member of the ARTV family. I've rebranded it because I want to follow my passion that I have for talking about movies and TV, entertainment at large. I don't want to put a cap on this channel as to what exactly it's going to be. But yes, those are the general outlines, and I hope you'll subscribe if maybe you're new, or if you're interested in hearing me talk about that, because that's what this is going to be from this point forward. Also, please bear with me as the set is going to change and evolve, and also there's going to be better graphics, and there's going to be a full-on hard reboot later, but consider this the soft reboot for now. So I watched the brand new horror-adjacent thriller Don't Breathe 2, directed by Rodo Sayagues, and original writer and director of the first one, Fede Alvalrez. It was produced by Sam Raimi, yes, that Sam Raimi of Evil Dead fame, and I thought the original Don't Breathe was a fantastic home invasion film that really got a lot of things right when it came to timing, precision, scares. The movie was fucking intense. There was a visceral atmosphere, and a lot of that credit has to go to Fede Alvarez for not only his writing, but also the directing, the way that he got some of these shots, the choices that he made it so extremely suspenseful. I know there's issues with it, and there's also some very unnerving sequences involving the old blind man, but I kind of love it for that. It's so disturbing and just kind of takes you out of your element, and I feel like a lot of films don't hit that benchmark. It's just a small one to clear, but so few actually feel like they can crawl inside your head and live there, and also build out characters that you at least somewhat care about, but the original Don't Breathe absolutely did that. Heads up for spoilers on the first movie, but essentially Stephen Lang is the only person that carries over. He does a fantastic job at portraying the old ex-Navy SEAL that is blind, and he's having his home invaded in the first movie. You kind of lose all sympathy that you would have had for an old man having his home broken into by 3 teenagers or early 20s, whatever they were, but I feel like all of that sympathy went out the window when you realize he's a turkey basting assaulter, and you see that happen at the end of the first movie, and you also see him dragging a girl back, one of the only survivors from the entire movie that was involved, and now in part 2, it seems like they're kind of with the trailers setting him up to be the hero. To transition over to Don't Breathe 2, I feel that producer Sam Raimi might have over-delivered our expectations just a bit. He could have kept them in lock, but he said, oh, it's only the best idea for a sequel that I've ever heard, and props where they're due. The concept with Don't Breathe 2 is pretty illustrious. They really reached for the stars, but I also feel that can be its Achilles heel because it tries to do a lot of things, especially in the back half. This sequel's only an hour and 38 minutes, yet it feels longer than that because of that back half. There's a lot of questions in the first part where you do feel the suspense ramping up, and there's decisions that make it feel like, oh, this is going to be a home invasion movie the entire time, just like Don't Breathe 1, and they're really executing. And I have to say, I thoroughly enjoyed the gore, the violence in this film. It's very gritty, and they show a lot of it. It earned its R rating. But at a certain point, you start to wonder where they're going with this. And not to get into spoilers, at least not at this moment in time, there are some major plot twists that don't necessarily undermine anything, it's just that they really have to reach to get you there. And with a thriller, horror-adjacent film like this, I do feel that it's a good time to turn off your brain to it and just watch the events unfold, and the first movie absolutely does that for you. This one, you have to really try hard to keep yourself in the element because there's so much being thrown at you and you're connecting the dots, and it's not necessarily like, wow, I'm right here solving the mystery alongside them. It's more like the filmmaker is trying to put a different thing on screen than what's actually happening. It's not always as deep as it seems, and sometimes it's even deeper. Again, Stephen Lang is fantastic in this film, and while the child actor portraying his daughter, the person that he's taking care of in this movie, a young girl about like 8 to 10, somewhere in that range, she's fine, and I'm not going to slam down on a child actor too hard, but there's just also some kind of unbelievable sequences, and I feel like a lot of that has to do with the writing. I feel like so many writers just don't know how to write for kids. Like, kids wouldn't say these things or think these things. The scares in this movie are a little bit more infrequent, but when they do pop up, they feel earned. There are moments where it feels like they're just kind of building to something that doesn't necessarily pan out, or else maybe it was way too convenient, like especially Stephen Lang as the old blind man. This dude is indestructible. What is he, Michael Myers now? He's a BAMF, he's a tank, he can take on anything. And again, the gore in this movie, the fight sequences, you feel invested at those heightened moments where it brings out that inertia within you and you're kind of almost to the edge of your seat wondering what's going to happen next. But in between those sequences, there are a lot of very convenient things that line up to actually get us from point A to point B. And my fiance brought up a good point after we were watching this film and we were on the drive home. And she said, it's almost like they started with point A and it had to be here, and they had the ending at point B, and everything in between, it's like they didn't know how they were going to get there. And then I was like, well, it seems like they were just kind of swerving all over the road. The report card is in, and if the first movie, Don't Breathe from 2016, is an A- for me, then this new one, Don't Breathe 2, is a C+. The final peak, the closing section of this movie, was kind of a strange symphony because I feel like a lot of things were being played out of tune and it all just kind of got thrown together clunkily. There are some big moments of tension thrown in there, so I can applaud the directors, the crew, and everything for actually bringing it together. But some things just kind of kept taking me in and out. But overall, I would say that this was an enjoyable time. I think it's worth seeing, especially if you like the first Don't Breathe. You'll probably want to see Stephen Lang in action yet again, and I'm interested to see if they somehow tie in a prequel, a part 3, whatever they decide to do in the future. This has been The Missing Frame. Thank you so much for watching my review of Don't Breathe 2. Let me know your thoughts on the movie if you've seen it in the comment section down below, and please hit that like button. It truly helps support, and subscribe if you happen to be new here. If you want to see a couple of recent videos, those are on screen now. A hard reboot is coming soon, and I'll be back with more.